Okay, we're back. I had to go have a meeting with my boss, my director, but we're back. So, as I was sharing, I had been through some narcissistic um, parental abuse with my paternal parent. Um, just, just honestly, for me, I think it was being a woman on the spectrum. Excuse me, and being a young Black woman, I think I didn't realize the heaviness, the weight of some parenting styles in the Black community. Specifically, I can't speak for the whole Black and brown community, but in my family, I didn't realize the fact that having had a parent who may not have necessarily known their parent. So I didn't really know my grandparents, but I knew some of my grandparents, like my great grandparents that raised, my paternal parent and stuff like that. And of course, the Lord had blessed me over the years with godparents and mentors and elders in my life to just encourage me, and church family, and being in a big military community. I had like church family, and even being in my own household. Like my dad was in the military, and then he like worked for the government when we were growing up. And my mom did the same thing, and then she was also a teacher and childcare provider and did the arts and everything. But saying all that to say, I didn't realize the weight of like what some brown men go through. And sometimes, like, if they don't know their parents or whatever, sometimes it can affect them in their own parenting with their children or adult children or whatever. But anyway, I can't speak for the entirety of Black and brown men, but this video isn't about race and ethnic background. It's just about my healing journey. It's about me and my healing journey. But yeah, so I had survived and now I'm thriving from narcissistic paternal abuse from my paternal side. And yeah, I didn't know at the time that it was financial abuse. I didn't know at the time that I was being gaslit, that I was being manipulated, that I was being abused, verbally and emotionally in that kind of way, because I was in it for so long. And I was just looking at myself as like, oh, I'm poor or poverty or whatever, I'm supposed to be, I'm living at home, I'm supposed to be in this type of environment, I should just be grateful that I have a place to stay. But that isn't always the case. And at the time, I think I didn't realize that I was in an abusive paternal situation because I was being taken care of. There was always food in the house, even after I was age 18 and after I was 21. I always had a roof over my head. I always had food in the house, but I also was always very responsible. I always, even before I knew about my disability, I always had a job. If I was babysitting, if I was nannying, if I was bartending, if I was working in my church, volunteering in my church and receiving a stipend, I always had some type of income coming in, and I was always busy and independent. And then in my mid-20s, right before COVID, my mid to late 20s, I started going to conferences, I started flying on my own, I started just doing really adult decisions. I even had bought a car at the time, and I was paying my car payment and on my family's insurance, which later that car, I ended up giving to the person, my paternal parent, because it was co-signed and partially co-signed in their name as well as my name. So I just surrendered it over to them before I had moved out of state, and now I'm in Texas. But just little situations like that. I had been in a sense of control for so long. I had been in a sense of control for so long. I didn't know that it was control, but it was also holding me back. And I think it really took, honestly, like, not just the season that I lived in northern Georgia, because I was 27 then, and that was during right before COVID, but it honestly took up until like 6 months ago, like recently, like when I was 33 and a half, and now I'm 34, almost 35. It took until like 6 months ago when I moved into my very first pad split. And then 3 months into my pad split, I was renting. And then I found out about my job in northern Texas. My director flew me out, and now I'm living here in northern Texas at a women's shelter, a renewal women's shelter. It is a maternity home, but it's also open to women that are residential staff workers for the shelter. So yeah, I never thought that I would have to be in this type of arrangement, like where I would be like in a shelter or whatever, because I thought like straight after community college, like I was gonna get my tiny house and I would be all set up. And I never wanted to do the whole apartment thing. I'm not really bougie. You gotta have the nice apartment, you gotta have the gym and the luxurious, 10-foot ceilings and the pool, and I've never really been into that. So I would have been fine anyway living in communal living. I was at one point discerning religious life. I knew I wasn't necessarily called to be a nun, but I knew I was supposed to do some kind of religious life where I worked with a mission team and lived on site. So God brought me to a maternity home. This is my religious life, like prior to the vocation of marriage one day. But yeah, that's my journey. I definitely, I've survived, and now I'm thriving from narcissistic abuse, from manipulation, from talking to boys that I shouldn't have been talking to. Definitely weren't men. Yeah, I've just survived a lot, and now I'm here in this new arrangement, this new communal living home. I'm saving, I'm thriving, I'm going through counseling and therapy, life coaching. God is just so good. And I even was just like talking to my director earlier this morning, and like the house organization has like a spare car they're gonna give me. I mean, of course I have to, buy it from them, for a little fee, and hopefully it won't be too expensive, but it's paid off. Like God has a miraculous way of allowing you to start over, allowing you to start over, allowing you to be graced with everything you need and more. Like sometimes God just wants you to leave the wilderness, be obedient, step into a new chapter, step into what He has called for you to do, and He will supply all your needs. And when I say He will supply all your needs, I mean He will supply all your needs, from food to shelter to transportation to everything you need, even down to toiletries. Like you can be living in an arrangement where you're getting paid to live somewhere, like me, in religious life, and in a shelter and organization where God is just providing everything you need, especially if you're someone like me that lives simply and lives humbly and doesn't need a luxurious apartment and is saving for a tiny house. Like you can be in an arrangement where like God just has provided everything for you. And if you came from a situation where a parent or a partner or an abusive roommate or someone was telling you, where would you be without us? Where would you be without me? Where would you be? Like you could be out on the street, you wouldn't have nothing without me. You wouldn't have nothing without us. Things that I've often heard, in my young adult life. You know, God is your provider. God is your help. He is your provider. God is your help. God is your provider. God will supply you with everything you need. And yeah, you may not be living in a luxurious home. You may not be living in a luxurious apartment. But if you have all your needs met and you have air in your lungs every morning, breath in your lungs, if you have all your needs met, you have food, you have shelter, you have community, and you have your friends and your godparents back home, and you just have more than you need, like, God is never going to leave you. Even Jesus himself, like the king of the universe, and Jonathan Rumi portrays it so well. As you all know, like, he is my crush. And the whole world likes him and loves him, and that's kind of cool because he's becoming like a global little superstar. But yeah, as he portrays so eloquently in his portrayal of Jesus, Jesus himself was humble. Like, he didn't have a luxurious apartment at 33, at 30. He left his hometown of Nazareth, and he was basically like a nomad, like for 3 years, camping and living in people's houses and living off the grid and doing everything I desired to do one day in a tiny house community. You know, he was living so humbly. And if he can do that, like, who's to say we, in this 2000 plus years later in 2026, who's to say we, all of us, have to have big mansion 5-bedroom houses, big $400,000-$500,000 houses? Like, we, all of us aren't called for that. All of us may not even want that, you know? God is so amazing. God will take care of you. And if you are going through a journey of healing and renewal, if you are going through a journey of healing and restoration, I just encourage you to know that you too can thrive. God did it for me, and I am just little Brittany Lamar, Brittany Lamar. If God did it for me and he can do it for me, then sure enough, he can do it for you. And I just want you to know that you are loved, you are chosen, and you are valuable. And you're awesome. Keep thriving. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I pray you are just remembering the goodness of God and remembering how important and how valuable you are. And I love you. But mostly, God and Jesus loves you. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Bye.